Welcome to the Fight Network podcast studios. Cody Saftik here alongside Robin Black. No John Pollock today, no John Ramdeen today, and apparently, Robin, no working studio today. So we're here in the podcast booth to give you news, and there's big news nonetheless. We've got potentially industry-changing news. If everything goes as announced, there will be an announcement today at 4 o'clock, so as of yet, we don't officially know what it is, but we're led to believe that it's potentially going to be the start of a union. Big-name guys like George St-Pierre, Cain Velasquez, TJ Dillashaw, they're all signing on. What are your early thoughts on this?
Where did we get the term industry-changing announcement? We got it from their press release.
Yeah, their headlines,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, and 10 weeks ago, it was we sat at the desk and Pollock sat down and looked at me and Ramdeen and he's like, "Guys, it's here finally, MMA union." And I was like, and they've got the endorsement of some that was 10 weeks ago. We forgot all about it. We're going down that road again. There is a union that's been working for a long time. Randy Couture, Carlos Newton, Fedor, Vanderlei, all of these guys have been working closer to a decade now on this. Then 10 weeks ago, there's somebody else. And then now Bjorn Rebney, we kind of forgot about him. But realistically, this doesn't have anything to do with the UFC, and this doesn't have anything to do with protecting fighters. WME-IMG is one of two of the biggest entertainment conglomerates in the world. And the other one is CAA. And WME-IMG just bought the UFC, and CAA is like, how can we get in on this action?
And they represent a number of the athletes here.
Exactly. And so suddenly they're like, well, wait a second. Our main competitor suddenly has something of big value. We have to make a business play now to figure out how we can get involved in this. So although we've seen 3 or 4 or 5 different unions pop up, this one has plus George St-Pierre, and it's going to be a potentially industry-changing thing. This has nothing to do with Dana White, the UFC, or any of these fighters. This is two giant warring entertainment conglomerates trying to fight with each other.
Does this not seem like it's something that might have been brewing up for a little while now? I mean, we go back almost 2 years now, and we see John Fitch and Nate Quarry, as you mentioned, Carlos Newton. They get together and they start, what is supposed to be the beginnings of a union. Mm-hmm. And then, as you mentioned, 10, 12 weeks ago, we see guys from the NHL player union getting on board. We see a bunch of big-name executive guys now putting their name behind it. Now we're coming to this big announcement. And I don't want to say it came from left field, but I'm not going to lie. When I first got the release and I saw George St-Pierre's a big announcement, I was thinking, of course he does. They need him now more than ever. And then I read into it and I think, uh-oh. But I didn't see this coming. I don't know how many, I'm sure members of the media did see it coming, but for the most part, it's been very quiet. Is this not something that's been brewing up for a while? They say Rome wasn't built in a day. A union wasn't built in a day.
Well, the problem is, if these people were serious about it, they would join Randy and Carlos and Fitch and all these guys. That is a company that has been created for this purpose. And then another one comes, no, we're the ones. There's a lot of money to be made in a union. If the intent was, let's protect the fighters, let's fight the Ali Act, let's create a scenario in which but this isn't the intent. The intent is, how do we get a big piece of this pie? And CAA is like, man, our main competitor suddenly has a sports league and 400 plus new athletes and stars and whatever that they have the contracts to work with. How do we make a bunch of money off that? How do we disrupt their business? And the media, gets used as a pawn. Realistically, this is, like I said, it's not about fighters. It's not about UFC. It's not about, any of these things. It's about two giant corporations trying to go to war to stop each other from taking a bigger piece of the pie. And the fighters are going to be pawns in it. The UFC itself is going to be pawns in it. And the biggest pawns of all, as is often the case, is the media, because we are dumb and uneducated. And we read the press release and go, holy shit, something big is going down. This is going to change everything. And we get used as pawns in the game of two giant corporations. And I'll add another thing. I talked to a CFO of a very big corporation that has multiple businesses that work in the entertainment business. And he was like, in the last decade and a half, there hasn't really been a union of any kind that has gone from zero to unionizing some type of business. So we'll try to compare it to other sports leagues or other unions, but even since the year 2000, almost no company has successfully unionized from nothing to a solid union. So it just isn't really done in the modern times. It never happens. There's always too many forces trying to stop it. I would love to see fighters be protected and taken care of, but go join Randy, go join Carlos. These guys have been working on this for a long time. Bjorn Rebney's been lying on a beach, and he suddenly joins up with the biggest competitor to the owner of this sports league and says, how do we get a piece of this?
Well, either way, we'll know more at 4 o'clock when they make their their official announcement. Till then, all we can really do is talk about it. But they do tell us that it will be industry-changing news.
Industry-changing news.
Stay tuned for that.